Trailers for both Spider-Man No Way Home and Dog Days debut online as legendary actor Ed Asner passes away. Barry Jenkins finds his leading men for his Lion King prequel. Cobra Kai is renewed for a 5th season. And Candyman finally premieres in theaters this past weekend. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
All right, folks, we're now at episode 25 of Cinema Unchained. Kind of a milestone. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Let's say it anyway. We've got an action-packed show for you today, but before we get into the trailer for the next Spider-Man movie, which has set the internet on fire, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, the Podcast Index, Stitcher, and so much more. And follow our social media pages that are listed in that description. Now, before we remember the one and only Ed Asner, I watched a trailer last week that I didn't think I was ever going to see because it wasn't supposed to be released, because I remember hearing rumblings that they weren't going to release a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, and I guess that ended up being antiquated because all I can say is memes. Memes as far as the eye can see, all over the internet. The trailer was, of course, released for Spider-Man No Way Home this past week, and like I said, the internet is just having a field day with it for a multitude of reasons. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the story, Peter Parker contacts Dr. Stephen Strange to reverse his identity as Spider-Man being revealed to the world with disastrous consequences. And all I can say is, holy shit, because one of those consequences is, of course, the multiverse being opened up. And now, of course, there have been rumblings as far as like the Marvel Cinematic Universe tackling the multiverse and whatnot. And I have like a rough idea as far as like what exactly it is. But Darius, would you mind just explaining that concept a bit more in a bit more detail?
Sure. So, like, the idea of a multiverse essentially is that basically multiple different worlds or multiple different avenues of where a story could have taken place. So, for example, let's say, as an example, not spoiling anything, I don't know. Let's say Tony Stark dies. Really, when when he first gets hit and becomes Iron Man. Instead of becoming Iron Man, he just dies. That would kind of lead off to a whole nother timeline and universe where, or really, it's another Earth in basically a cosmic scale that did happen compared to compared to the MCU that we all know. So that's the idea of the multiverse. Is basically different universes, different Earths that have different outcomes and consequences and results compared to what we've already known in the MCU. And this is for really DC, Marvel. That's just the idea of the multiverse. And so, yeah, with that said, obviously Marvel MCU is going that route. And we'll see how it all turns out. We'll see how it all turns out.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, oh my God. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the first like MCU film to really tackle the multiverse, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because I remember it was originally supposed to be Doctor Strange 2. The title literally is The Multiverse of Madness or whatever it is. And I thought that was going to be the first one until I watched this trailer. So, I mean, I'm floored. I think I've watched this trailer at the very least 10 times. At least 10 times. Like, I've lost count of how many times I've watched this trailer already. Like, I'm literally counting the days until this movie comes out. Because, like, when it comes to, like, a lot of the other, like, Marvel standalone films, I'm like, all right, whatever, it'll be fun, it'll be entertaining. And I'll watch it just to keep up to pace with, like, the rest of the MCU going on. Because you have to watch every fucking movie in order to keep up to pace with everything that goes on. This, as a standalone film, I'm actually really looking forward to. Like, I'm genuinely pumped for this.
Oh, well, I'm happy you're pumped for it. Because for me, I'm very worried. I'm very worried about this movie. I wish I can say I'm ecstatic. I wish I can say I'm excited. It's like in certain ways I am, but as a fan. But at the same time, as someone who has seen how, for example, the CW has tackled the multiverse with DC, I'm very worried with how Marvel might do it. I am excited in certain ways where they did say they want to have the what if stuff come into live action, so that does intrigue me, or cross over with the live action films. But as far as Spider-Man No Way Home specifically, I'm very worried about this movie. I think this is definitely an opportunity for Sony. They've been trying to do this. They've been trying to do a Sinister Six movie. They've been trying to do a multiverse movie because of Into the Spider-Verse success. and this seems like the perfect excuse and way for them to do it. And I'm very nervous, to say the least. You already have the Sam Raimi villains, such as it looks like Goblin might be in it from the pumpkin bomb that you see. Yeah, we have
the laughter too, and the Goblin laugh.
Yep, and the Goblin laugh. We also see Alfred Molina become Doc Ock again. There's rumors, and specifically, it looks like Electro might be in it by Jamie Foxx. Plus, he somewhat confirmed it.
He's currently, exactly. He's currently Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, and Norman Osborn, and Alfred Molina are, if I'm not mistaken, they're all listed on IMDb as cast members for this movie right now. So I think they are coming back.
So however, because I'm worried about that fact and how they're going to utilize Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And again, for me, it's a mixed bag. I'm very worried. Am I going to see it in theaters? Obviously, it's the Marvel fan in me. I gotta see it. At the same time, I'm not as excited as I hoped I was for it. It's just, oh man, the whole multiverse idea is cool as a fan, especially in the comics. But when how is going to be adapted into live action, that's where it gets worried for me, because I feel as if certain moments, for example, like Iron Man's death, right, or even Captain America's retirement, those are so impactful in the MCU. I'm in a theater, people are crying when that stuff happens, that if they introduce the whole idea of multiverse, we're getting a new Iron Man, but it's from a different Earth, I think it just loses that impact as far as live action wise.
I see I see how there could possibly be that pitfall, because again, they could use like the multiverse as an excuse to bring certain characters back that had a great send-off in kind of a cheap way. So it's like, and again, I didn't even think of that. So if they do that with Iron Man and Captain America, yeah, that'd be pretty fucking stupid. But when it comes to like the other characters that seem to be, quote, brought back from like Spider-Man films outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this honestly, like, it feels like nostalgia that doesn't feel like a nostalgia grab, because I feel like it's a cool concept to explore in, I don't know if like just like a respectful way or whatnot, because like, again, if you're gonna bring these characters back too, like they have like the original cast members too. You have J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. So seeing those characters in this situation, like I said, I feel like it could be utilized really well. But considering how it seems to be confirmed that these villains are coming back, what other characters do you think will return? Like, does this confirm the rumors of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returning as their Spider-Man? Like, I would think so.
Honestly,
because if you're gonna bring if you bring these villains back, like, every Marvel Cinematic Universe fan is gonna want these other Spider-Men to come back at some point to do this. Like, if you're teasing the villains, but you don't end up bringing the heroes along with them, like, they're gonna piss off a lot of people, and I think they know that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems to confirm it. I remember even myself looking at rumors and the so-called leaks online, and I was just like, wow, I'm very scared for this movie, especially how they're going to tackle these legacy, like, the Raimi trilogy, and even Andrew Garfield's series. And from what I've seen I'm not going to say anything, I'm very scared, and if anything, I might cry during this movie, and not because I'm happy. So I'm worried. Let's just say that.
I didn't I'm still very, very confident in this, because like one of the things that I like so far from what we're seeing is, like, other than the stuff that they seem to be bringing back, like even just what's going on, like with like everything else, like with Tom Holland's Spider-Man or whatnot, like just everything that he's dealing with, and just like not only the concept of tackling the multiverse, but again, bringing all these characters back. It seems like there's going to be a lot of moving parts to the story, which I really do appreciate. There's something that feels very ambitious about this. This is probably, in my opinion, going to be the most ambitious standalone film that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done. Probably the most ambitious standalone superhero movie of all time. Just with everything that it is that they're trying to tackling. Just with everything going on with, again, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Just everything going on with like all the other characters that are coming back. It seems like they're tackling a lot. There's a great risk as well as all this too, but usually the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So if they if they don't pull this off the right way, then that's gonna leave a lasting impact. But if they do this the right way, then that's also gonna leave a lasting impact. Like I said, greater the risk, the greater the reward.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to execution. I know for me, at first when I saw Far From Home, I liked it, but then over time, I actually didn't like it that much. And so now with this and them tackling the idea of something this on a cosmic scale like the multiverse, it's going to be interesting what they see. However, I will say I am excited if one of my theories that I'm thinking about comes true, which is the idea that yes, these are the actors playing those given roles, but they're actually not from that Raimi trilogy or that Spider-Man universe because of what Loki has established with the idea of variants. So that could be a potential way for them to sort of, hey, yeah, they're bringing back, but they're not playing the actual Doc Ock from that trilogy per se. It's a variant from that trilogy, but not the actual one. So if that happens, then I'm excited.
That could be interesting. That's another thing I didn't even think of.
Yeah, man, my mind's going all about.
Oh man, like I said, like I know you seem to be a bit more skeptical at this point, and again, based on what you've told me, I can't blame you. But again, still based on what I've seen too, like I'm super pumped. Like I said, I'm counting the days for this to come out. It's slated to come out right now in theaters on December 17th of this year. And it can't come soon enough. I just hope this isn't one of those movies that's delayed like a million times, like Venom 2 seems to be. Like Venom 2 being delayed, like I'm not as annoyed with. I'm not looking forward to this as much. If this movie gets delayed, Spider-Man No Way From Home, I'm gonna be really pissed. I'm gonna be really, really pissed. Like how pissed I was when Dune got delayed last year for like almost like just about a year. I'll be just as mad if this movie gets delayed even a week. I mean,
oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, for you guys that are still with us, what did you guys think of the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home? Are you looking forward to how the MCU handles the multiverse? Do you think there's going to be too much going on? Was this trailer way too long to be labeled a teaser? Comment wherever it is that you can. And now, when I watched the trailer for Doug Days, you know, I kind of, you know, it's the next Disney Pixar show based on the movie Up. And those characters, I wondered if Ed Asner, you know, who voiced Carl for the movie, I wonder if he voiced him for the show. And I started wondering if he was still, you know, around. Because, like, you ever hear about, like, you know, someone in the entertainment industry that's, like, you know, a little bit on, like, the older side and whatnot, and you wonder how they're doing. I'm like, oh, wow, they're still alive. That's really cool. And then, like, I scrolled on my IMDb feed and I read that legendary film and TV actor Ed Asner has indeed passed away at the age of 91. So at least it was a long life, definitely a very prolific career. And here's the thing, Darius, you and I, you know, being born in circa 1997, there are a few roles of his that we know well. But here's the thing, those roles that I think that we know really well, like that doesn't even scratch the surface. Like his career went back to like, you know, the 70s. He was most famous for his role as like the cranky newsman Lou Grant in both the iconic sitcom The Mary Tyler Moore Show and its dramatic spinoff Lou Grant. He won 7 Emmys. I think at this moment he's the only actor to win Emmys for playing the same role in both comedy and drama categories. He also won Emmys for Rich Man Poor Man, the miniseries Roots. So he had a long prolific career. So again, what exactly went through your mind when you found out about this?
Yeah, like when I found out, I was like, because one of the title really was that the Ed Asner, the main, because I actually didn't know this. I didn't know he voiced the main character from Up. So that kind of hit with me, and I was like, "Wow, holy cow, he passed away." Because again, I love that. I love Up. I thought that was a fantastic, if not perfect, movie. And it hit me in all the ways that I didn't expect. And so when I heard that he passed, I was like, "Wow, that really sucks." But you know what? He was 91. You know, he lived a very long career, a very long life. Hopefully, he was happy when he passed and everything. Family around him, that sort of thing. It's definitely an unfortunate circumstance, but at the same time, I'm happy at the same time that is he's lasted this long. just like
Yeah.
Stanley. Stanley lasted that long, that sort
Yeah,
of
he was
thing.
95. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this, I think, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, he made an impact in films. He's made an impact in his career that influence other people to do acting or whatever it may be. So it's unfortunate, and I love Up, so that kind of also had a strong connection with me. So I was just like, you know what, he can rest in peace, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Up because according to CBS, so many people loved his voice performance in Up that they wanted the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to create a category for voice acting performances. I think that's something that they should have done a while ago. I think that's something they should have done when it came to Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin or Jeremy Irons as Scar in The Lion King. Like they should have done that a while ago. But again, just in terms of like other roles that he had that, again, you and I probably recognize. Did you ever watch the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s?
Yes. Oh, man.
He was the voice of J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, wow. Like I said, I watched it as a kid. I didn't know much about casting then, but holy cow, wow, that's cool.
Yep. He was him. He was Santa. He was Santa Claus and Elf. Please tell me you've seen Elf. You had to have seen Elf.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You had me concerned there for a second. I'll never forget. I was on a school trip like a few years ago, and I had my pajama shirt that like referenced Elf. I'm like, and my teacher noticed it, and I'm like, "Oh, you've seen Elf?" He's just like, "Yeah, of course I have. I'm an American." But you know who else he also was too? Johnny Lawrence's stepfather in Cobra Kai.
No, that was him too?
That's him too. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, he definitely made an impact then.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know what? I mean, like I said, he had a lasting impact for sure. And thank you, Ed Asner. That's all I can say. My heart goes out to his loved ones. And, for again, like obviously we ran through a Rolodex of roles that Ed Asner had. For any guys that are still listening, are there any roles or any Ed Asner roles or moments that we forgot to mention? Again, just don't be shy about them in the comment section. And now, kind of just like moving forward to like the trailer for the upcoming series that I believe was one of Ed Asner's final roles. The trailer for the next, I guess, Disney Pixar miniseries, Doug Days, was released like this past week. It premieres on September 1st, and it follows Doug, better known as the dog from Up, as he discovers the peaks and pitfalls of suburban life. And again, the voice cast, of course, includes original cast members from the film, including obviously Ed Asner as Carl and Bob Peterson as Doug. And one thing that I do like is just so far, again, just from like a speculative point of view, is that Bob Peterson, who, like I said, voiced Doug, he directed and wrote this series, and he also worked on the screenplay for Up along with Tom McCarthy and Pete Docter. So given the involvement that he had in the original film, I definitely trust that he won't make this series feel like something that's unnecessary,
Yeah, I mean, like this, because at first I remember when they first announced it, I was like, okay, this is kind of odd. Seeing the trailer, I was like, this is cute. This seems like, just a little fun series to watch, that sort of thing. And so I'm not excited or anything like that, but I am interested to see it and to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I think it goes on Disney Plus. Like one of the things I do like is that like every episode of the show is going to be put on Disney Plus at the same time, which is like a nice change of pace from like every other Disney Plus show that you got to wait a week or so to see the next one. So every episode for Doug Days is going to be premiering on Disney Plus like this Wednesday on September 1st. So I'm going to assume that each episode is going to be like a half hour long or something like that, if that. So I'll just, if I'm doing nothing on Wednesday, I can just sit down and just knock them all out.
But yeah, this show seems pretty fun. It seems like the Pixar shorts that we discussed earlier in this year and last year, earlier this year. It seems something like that. Again, not exactly, but just something fun. Something fun that's just there to watch for the family or even really for the family. So again, more Up, cool. I'll watch it, see how I feel, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, again, for are you guys actually gonna be watching Doug Days? Like, I think it's one of those things where if you have not much to do on Wednesday, I think I would just just sit down and just have a good time with it. Just chillax for a little bit. Can't believe I said the word chillax. Oh god, I'm gonna jump out a window now. And again, like I said, if you're actually watching Doug, yeah, please. But again, if you're actually gonna watch the show, of course, let us know in that comment section. And now, before we get into Cobra Kai's confirmed 5th season, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. And follow our social media pages that are listed in that description. And now, before we give our thoughts on the new developments for Barry Jenkins' prequel for The Lion King, again, scrolling through my IMDb feed, I spend a lot of time looking through IMDb, but scrolling through my IMDb feed, I found that Cobra Kai had been renewed for a 5th season. I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's really cool. But I'm thinking to myself, wait, season 4 hasn't come out yet. What? Like this feels kind of weird. Like, is it just me?
No, I am freaking excited. I mean, a lot of shows kind of renew the season after before the current season, happens. A lot of shows do that. So when I heard when you said that Cobra Kai got renewed, I was like, yo, 5 seasons? This is amazing. I absolutely love Cobra Kai. I think they're doing a great job of mixing the old cast members and bringing and passing the legacy and the torch down to the younger ones. Because I have to face it, at first I was a bit meh or worried, mainly because they're continuing such a really strong, I think, movie, The Karate Kid, and after the other Karate Kid movie that happened years ago with Will Smith's son.
Smith?
Yeah, with Jaden Smith. I was like, let's see. But honestly, to me, banger season after banger season after banger season. A lot of great characters, solid character development on even the new characters. And I'm just like, I am floored by the work they've done. And I can tell these people are fans of the Karate Kid. These people, they know what they're doing. So season 5, I'm all in. I'm excited. Let's get it this year along with season 4.
Yeah. No, because it's funny too, because here's the thing. Season 3 premiered New Year's Day of 2021. And season 4 right now is supposed to come out in December of 2021. So we're going to get 2 new seasons of one show in 1 year. That's pretty crazy, right?
That is, I will give them, I will say that because I have, at least personally, I don't remember a show ever doing, as far as live action, or I don't think I've ever seen a show do 2 seasons in 1 year. That's incredible.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw that. Yeah, that's freaking nuts. Which honestly, too, when it comes to season 4, right, and the fact that they've already confirmed season 5 before season 4 comes out. That I would assume that means they got to be really confident in the 4th season, right? Which is crazy because this show seems to just be building up. Season 1 I thought was great. Season 2, holy shit. Season 3, what the fuck? I mean, this is the kind of show that just keeps building. Just when you think it can't get any better, it manages to outdo itself somehow. Whether it's on an action scale, the season finales from both seasons 2 and 3, my god. I mean, those are so just nuts. Good. And even just going to what you were saying before about, again, from a character development point of view, I've said this before too, this show is a masterclass in character development. It is.
Absolutely. It's so weird because I didn't expect to fall in love with certain characters, especially when they either went to one side and they switched to the other or whatever. And I was like, man, this is just so really solid writing, really solid character development. And I couldn't get enough. I was just like, this is great. This is action sequences. It's just great.
This is one of those shows that juggles a lot, but it never juggles too much.
Exactly. And is able to be consistent and focus on what they're actually doing within that season and the overall narrative, which, again, I'm all down for. And like I said, season 5, I'm all for it. Holy cow. 2 seasons, this 1 year. Season 5. If I have to wait 2 years from now, I'll wait.
Yeah, no, it's, I can't wait to see, what they give us and how they manage to, like I said, keep outdoing themselves. So again, for all you guys, what do you think of Cobra Kai getting a 5th season before season 4 even debuts? Do you even like Cobra Kai? And if you don't like Cobra Kai, why are you wrong? Comment wherever it is that you can. And before we cap off the show with our review of Candyman, according to Variety, The Lion King is indeed getting a prequel that's being held by Oscar-winning filmmaker Barry Jenkins, best known for Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk. The origin story is centered on the younger years of Mufasa and Scar, and so far it has Aaron Pierre, who has been casted as Mufasa, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. is playing Scar, whose birth name is Taka, which is something that I always thought was kind of weird too. Like, as much as I adore The Lion King, in my mind, that's like a perfect movie. You mean to tell me that the Lion Cub's name from birth was Scar? I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I just never. I always thought that was kind of funny. But when it comes to The Lion King getting a prequel, like, usually when I hear about something with Disney, like getting like a live action prequel or anything like that, right? I roll my eyes, but considering what this is about, like, I always wondered like what happened during the upbringing of Mufasa and Scar. So I'm like, all right, maybe this could be something worth watching, but I don't know. Like, Darius, I remember you saying that you weren't so crazy about this development.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. I'm not crazy about The Lion King per se, but Barry Jenkins being attached to it, I think that is very cool. Moonlight is an amazing movie. Absolutely love what he did with that. So him tackling a Lion King prequel, I think, hey, that's good for him. I'm curious to see what he does with it. But as far as Lion King as a franchise and as its own property, I'm the type of person where if it's a classic, if it's considered a classic and is beloved, don't touch it. Don't do anything to it. Don't do adaptations. Don't do sequels. Don't even, maybe not even do a prequel. And the thing with The Lion King, as far as Mufasa and Scar, I love that they have a history, but you don't see it. You feel it. Like, that's the one thing I love about The Lion King, is that you feel that there's history between the two. So, I mean, again, this is where it's a mixed bag for me, where it's a prequel, where it's like, oh, we get to see it. It's like, that's cool, but I don't think it was necessary for us to see it, per se. This just feels like them trying to capitalize off of the Lion King as a name. But again, we'll have to see where the story goes, how they unfold. Because again, the second you do a prequel, that is set in stone. People can't now almost can't make up their own version per se. It's like, this is a definitive version, and this is what I've seen with a lot of quite a few people over time when it comes to adaptations. When they see the MCU, for example, or even the DC shows, to them that's almost the definitive version of those characters, which is why, to me, it's important to do at least these adaptations right. And
yeah,
so
if you're gonna do this, like, you have to have a good reason. And like I said, does this story concept intrigue me? Absolutely. But again, like, as I'm sure, like, as you mentioned before, the execution is the most important thing. And one of the things that I think is interesting is the fact that, okay, it's Barry Jenkins. He's obviously a talented filmmaker for sure. I think he's an interesting choice to do this film because, like, I wouldn't usually think that the director of a drama like Moonlight would be picked to direct something so, like, visual effects heavy. So, like, the idea of him doing that, like, I got to give him props, or at least trying something that seems to be different. And just looking at the cast too. Yeah. What?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that actually, because you said that he was drama heavy and this is more visual effects. I think, to me, this is actually great because it is visual effects, but at the same time, the prequel is delving into the drama between Mufasa and Scar. So I think that could be really interesting, and I think he can really, even visually, do something potentially different compared to the Lion King CG adaptation we got.
Yeah, and again, touching on the whole visual thing too, like, again, this is, quote, like a live action film described by Disney, right? Even though they're animals, it's not like, like, everything's animated, so it's not technically live action. It's just using the same photorealistic animal design that was used in the 2019 Lion King from Jon Favreau. And I just remember one of the complaints with that film was there wasn't enough facial emotion from the animals. which is weird because like I remember watching that and I'm like, all right, sometimes I felt the emotion in their eyes and their faces, and sometimes I didn't. So I can definitely understand that critique. So I'm just wondering, like, if they do the whole photorealistic thing, like, are they going to be able to learn from that? Because I remember when it came to the Jungle Book, you know, again, very similar technology, but that complaint wasn't really there as much. And ironically enough, it was from the same director too. Like Jon Favreau did both the Jungle Book live action and the 2019 Lion King.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think with the Jungle Book though, they kind of like, to me, with the Lion King, that's a completely almost CG movie, you know, whereas Jungle Book mixed a few of live action and visual effects. But again, it's weird because it's like, I don't know, I really don't know. Just that because I know I like Jungle Book, but I didn't like Lion King. But you know, Barry Jenkins doing the prequel, intriguing, interesting, and we'll see where it goes. You know, because it's like, man, more Lion King. To me, at this point, I'm just like, just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, again, like I believe in the mantra of, like, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But at the same time, it's so weird because, like, there's always going to be a part of me that wants more Lion King. That's just how much I love it. But, like, again, there's always going to run that risk of, you know, the more you do with it, the more of a chance you have of fucking things up. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, I don't know exactly when this is supposed to come out. Like, again, it's just, you know, another thing I saw on IMDb. Yeah. So again, knowing what we know so far about the Lion King prequel, again, what do you guys think? Will it be another generic Disney live action cash grab, or could it actually stand out because of its story and pedigree of talent attached to the film? Again, leave your thoughts in that comment section there below. And now, to cap off the show, Candyman, at long last, finally premiered in theaters this past weekend after being delayed however many times because of COVID-19. And of course, nearly 3 decades after the events of the original Candyman film, a struggling Chicago painter finds his sanity slipping as he becomes more enamored with the horrors of the origin of Candyman. Film stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Tiana Paris, and Coleman Domingo. Directed and co-written by Nia DaCosta, and is also co-written and co-produced by the one and only Jordan Peele. And now, again, like something that I'm thinking of too, because anytime like a movie like got delayed however many times because of COVID-19, right? When it finally came out, like, you know, you got to think, like, was this worth all the delays?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, I was excited for this when I heard that Jordan Peele was attached to it. You know, he's to me, he's a great director, great writer. He knows how to really psychologically go deep into characters. However, I did not love this movie, and I liked it, but I wanted to love it. That's the thing. I wanted to love it, but I didn't, and I couldn't. I thought Candyman, this 2021, I really enjoyed the beginning aspects of it, you know. I didn't really fall in love with the characters, however. I didn't. It's so odd to me because it's like they try to make it an effort for me to care about the characters, but at the same time, for me, I just couldn't. So when certain things happen to some of these characters, I was just like, okay, cool. Visually looks great, but just
visually,
character-wise,
polished,
visually, this movie, cinematography-wise, it is gorgeous. It is lyrical. It is poetic in certain ways, and I really do appreciate that. However, some of the characters to me didn't hit right. And at some points, to be honest, the tonality of the movie kind of shifted a bit drastically to the point where I was like, I know it's a drama and it's definitely horror, but I think they put a little too, in certain aspects, there was a bit too much emphasis on certain comedic moments. I understand certain characters are meant to be the comedic relief, that sort of thing. But at the same time, I laughed more than I thought I should in a movie like Candyman, if that makes any sense. And so, again, I liked it. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. I think that Nia DaCosta did a great job as far as what she intended for this movie to be cinematography wise, and even certain uh areas of character development, I think she did a pretty good job. Um, Again, this is a movie I wanted to love, but I couldn't. For some reason, it also felt as if they're planning a sequel, but also not planning one, and I'm not entirely too sure
I
how I
wasn't
feel
sure
about that.
too. Yeah, that's something that felt like a little weird too. Like I wasn't sure exactly what to make of the ending. You know, like the ending kind
Mm-hmm.
of made me feel like, like a mixed bag, but then I look back at the rest of the movie and I'm like, all right, this movie definitely has a lot going for it. Certain things I wish they did differently, but it definitely has a lot going for it. And again, one of the things that I went into this movie expecting and definitely got was just like a terrifying horror atmosphere. Like
Absolutely.
this movie, that that knocked that aspect out of the park. Again, there are a lot of images in there that where they really just pulled no punches. Like they're bloody, they're gruesome, they send a shiver down your spine. Just that entire atmosphere, like it really did so well. Even just
Yep.
the suspense too, like the suspense, both the suspense and the scares, neither one felt cheap. Like the suspense, like really just did a number on my nerves. Whether it was just like in, a scene that's supposed to be scary, or even just like certain, dialogue scenes, like that tension was really there. It was intoxicating. So between the fact that the scares really didn't feel cheap at all, like this movie definitely knocked the horror movie aspect out of the park.
Exactly.
And I think
The
overall,
horror
like
aspect. Mhm.
exactly. Nia DaCosta, terrific job directing. She did a really good job. The visuals are really gorgeous. Cinematography, makeup, even just the set pieces are all really great. I really felt like I was in contemporary Chicago, which at the same time made the horror feel that much more real.
Exactly.
Even performances across the board were solid too. I can't say acting wise there really was a weak note anywhere for sure. The biggest thing that other than I guess, I can kind of understand what you're saying about the character development too, as far as like, attachment to the characters. I think the biggest flaw for me in this movie was how heavy-handed like the social commentary was. And like this is another thing I walked out of the theater feeling too, or thinking about too. I'm like, I wasn't sure if like the commentary felt like a genuine part of the story, or if it was just kind of like shoehorned in there. Like either way,
It's a general part of the story, actually.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
And then either way, it still felt like a bit much. Like, like here's how they went
yeah,
about this. How they went about this. Like, what this reminded me of? Like, you ever know someone that like, texts you like 9 different times in an hour just to see, and like, 8 of those messages are to see if you got that, first message. Like, I felt like, this movie was just, like, texting me over and over and over again. Did you get my message about gentrification and police brutality? Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Are you sure? Did you get this message? That's kind of, like, how it felt. Like, it kind of felt like it was, like, smashing me over the head with that, with that kind of commentary.
Like, here's the thing with that. Like, I know that the original Candyman, I think in general, especially with the first one, it tackles social issues. So I wasn't too upset about, I'm not going to be upset about that when that's in general that's what Candyman is, and that's what the original story, the intentions were with that one too. However, to me, and this is where I was talking about how I couldn't connect with these characters, and so whatever happened to them, I honestly almost didn't care that much. If anything, I just cared about the horror aspect and how they're gonna do the next kill, how they're gonna do the peeling, and this and that and the other. But I didn't really care about the characters, and this is where I was like, it felt very thematically heavy for in certain areas that it just didn't need to, And this is where, to me, the third act kind of fell apart for me.
And here's the thing too, like you said, like thematically it's definitely a bit heavy, but going back to what you're saying about like the original Candyman film too, like how that tackles certain social issues. There's nothing wrong with tackling certain social issues for sure. But I feel like there's a way to do it, and I feel like the original Candyman did that in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, like it was closing to the end to where it started to feel like that. As you said, that did you get it? Did you get it? And I was just like, okay, oh boy, I don't know how I feel about this third act right now, because it was just, to me, it was a bit all over, not necessarily all over the place, but just certain revelations as far as certain certain revelations just made me question, like, wait, what? I don't, huh? This is an odd way to do it, but at the same time, like I said, it felt very thematically heavy. And again, this is a theme in general. It is a theme heavy movie. However, I did wish that they delved a bit more into some of the character aspects, because I do feel as if again, this is where I'm a bit mixed, because it's like the beginning I really enjoyed, I was getting it, and then closing to the end, I kind of tuned out a bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, I liked it. I didn't love it. I could definitely see where Jordan Peele kind of put his hands in, for sure. And I can, like, again, I think they had like 2-3 different writers on it, and I think, again, writing wise, again, I liked it, but because it was Jordan Peele, I was like, I was expecting to love it. That's the thing. And I did.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were too. Like, anytime Jordan Peele is attached to anything, you're expecting something really to stand out. And as far as like this standing out, again, I don't know. I don't know how this definitely isn't gonna stand out more than, like, obviously a Get Out or even Us. Like, I thought Us was amazing.
Yeah.
I liked Us even more than Get Out. I think I'm in that minority of people that actually liked Us more than Get Out. But again, I definitely understand too, like, as far as like what you're saying, like, you could see this feels like something Jordan Peele was involved in, even if he didn't direct it.
Yeah.
But again, even on the directing end of things, like, I like looking at just what Nia DaCosta was able to do just from a directing point of view. She's obviously very, very talented, very talented.
Yeah.
But and she's someone that I'm gonna be looking at, with the next few films to come.
Yeah, and it's the cinematography. My God, oh yes. Which is why I'm like, oh, I liked it, but I wish I loved it. Again, I thought some of the pacing was, especially for something like the psychological horror, you have to nail that pacing. You have to nail some of the angles as well to really elevate those horror and suspenseful moments. And again, they absolutely did that. It was just, for me, the character was kind of lacking in that department. And again, with Jordan Peele attached, I was like, man, I wanted to love it, but I walked about like, it was all right. I liked it. I had a good time.
I did like it. I did like it overall. Even though, like I said, certain pacing issues could have been a bit better. Like, there are, like, looking back at this, like, this movie was an hour and a half long, and there are times where it felt a bit longer. Yeah, it was about an hour and a half long. And there are times where it felt a bit longer, but it's weird because, like, it still kept my attention,
Exactly.
So,
for me, again, it grabbed me in mainly on those horror suspenseful moments, right?
Yes.
Throughout.
Yeah.
That's what nailed me. That's what drew me in. And I absolutely, and on that alone, it nailed it. Like you said before, and I really enjoyed it. And that aspect of itself.
And even then, just before we, wrap this up too, another note that I want to make too, like, as far as like, they definitely expanded like the mythology behind Candyman. Yep. That I thought was really cool. I loved what they did with that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I will say this to end this off too. This is a sequel I didn't expect. At the same time, I enjoyed that there was, because it kind of did almost the ways I wanted a sequel to almost a movie or a game. A sequel in general is what I wanted it to do in general, which is expand a bit on the mythology and do a bit more, and I think they did that.
Yeah, same, exactly. That's pretty much what I wanted to, and then that's pretty much what we got. It's like, ironically enough, I don't think I saw the original Candyman movie until after this trailer came out. I'm like, all right, this looks nuts. I should probably watch the original. But yeah. So again, what did you guys think of 2021's Candyman? Was it worth the multiple delays, and how does it compare to the 1992 original film? Leave your thoughts in the comment section wherever it is that you can. And just like that, we're done. Episode 25 is done. So don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and more, and follow our social media pages in that description. And tune in next Monday at 5 p.m. for our reviews of Disney Pixar's Dug Days, as well as Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. See you next time.